All right, we are live for another episode of Real Estate Junkies Podcast. And today, in this episode, we are going to do something different. Okay, so we have incredible interview with Sheila on this podcast. Sheila is a powerhouse in the industry, leading a global organization of 15,000 agents across 20 countries with over 90 billion in sales in the past 2 years alone. She is the top woman figure globally for eXp Realty in growth and attraction. In this episode, we will dive into the secrets of scaling your real estate business with leverage. Don't miss out. Join us on this conversation, Sheila. It's a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Thank you so much. Good to be here.
I want to get right into it because it feels like you have so much experience to share with us, right? So can you share your journey from being a sales trainer in various other industries before becoming a leading figure in real estate?
Sure. I mean, basically started out in the media industry and coming out of college and ran radio stations in multiple cities, and then wound up being recruited to a startup pharmaceutical company. So I became an owner in that. We built that company up, and instead of going public, we had an offer and got bought out. And that's when I got into real estate. Started on the developer side of the industry, working for big builders and people in Dallas, just new home construction for almost a decade, and then moved to the brokerage side. And so at that point, I helped build a brokerage up to 12 offices in 4 different states.
Wow.
Had 40 agents. We sold over 6,000 homes together in 7 years. And then moved to eXp almost 8 years ago. And then just started building here.
I hear you're kind of like the godmother for all the agents in eXp. Is that true?
I don't know about that. I mean, I think.
How many agents outside of your organization are there under you, like in that chain?
A third of the company.
That's the definition I was looking for. A third of the company under you. That's crazy, right?
Yeah,
how did you manage to build an organization that spans over 20 countries and over 15,000 agents?
I mean, the truth is you're not building it, right? You're bringing people who bring people who bring people who bring people.
Yeah.
So I've just continued to bring people, and some people you bring a lot of people. And that was Brent Gove. He brought a lot of people, and then continued to bring people from then on. And so you just help who you can and help them build and help them grow, and then it just kind of snowballs.
Mm-hmm. And what were the key factors, if I were to ask you, that led your team to achieve over 90 billion in sales in the last 2 years?
Back then, when Brent came, he was the first what would be considered a mega icon agent, and he had 18 people on his team that he brought with him. So he was an enormous influence in the industry, and it got a lot of attention. And so a lot of people moved because of who Brent was and because of their respect for him.
Yeah.
And people want to be with people that are successful and have authority and have the prestige in the industry, and Brent did. And so a lot of people moved because of him.
So what I hear you say is what amounted to that level of success is because people move with people, or people join people.
Yeah, people move with people and people leave because of people.
That's true too, right? Yeah, the people don't leave. Yeah, a lot of times we think that, a different company gave them a better offer, right? Usually it's because they're not happy with the people they are, right?
They're either disgruntled at leadership, or feel like they were left out, or they didn't get recognized, or rewarded, or whatever. And from that, they decide to go find something somewhere else.
So and how did this happen, right? Like obviously Brent Gove didn't just come join you, right? For you to have this level of success, and people might look at it and say, oh, it's because she got Brent and Brent did all the work, right? But like, hey, you did something to get Brent here, right? And I actually had Brent go on podcast a few weeks ago,
Oh, you
and
did?
it was an amazing conversation. Yeah, and we went over time, and he didn't care, and we did have to stop at some point, and it was amazing. So he's definitely an amazing personality.
He's
But what
incredible.
what led you to get him, right? Is it just like being in the right place in the right time, kind of hitting the lottery, or was it something that you did that got him into the company under
Something
you?
I did. I made calls. It's like anything else in sales, whether it's real estate or any other sales, do the work. I
Mm,
did the work.
yeah.
And the other thing is, a lot of people focus on calling people they don't know. I called people I knew. So I
Mm,
had met Brent 3 years before at
wow.
a conference and had a business card. So I started calling everybody that I had a business card for or had met in all my years in real estate.
Wow. So those stack of real estate agent cards I have, I should call.
Yes, yes, you should. I mean, the reality is people always talk about we're in a relationship business, but then they don't think about, oh, guess what? We really are in a relationship business. So if I have a relationship with someone, they're going to be more likely to move with me because I have a relationship with them.
Oh man, I have to go through my trash, find those business cards. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Can you explain the concept of scaling, right? A lot of people, they hear about scaling with leverage and leveraging in business and growing your business through leverage, right? Could you explain how that has been instrumental for you and your success over the years?
Yeah, I mean, reality is you're one person. We each only have 24 hours in a day. So if you want to grow, you have to figure out what are the things that I can let go of that I should not be doing.
Mm,
And many years ago, someone said something to me. They said, either you hire an assistant or you are an assistant.
yeah.
And you're either going to figure out whether you hire a VA overseas or whether you hire someone in your office. You scale based on the leverage of letting things go. And so some
Mm,
of it is people don't grow because they're control freaks and they don't want to give up the control. But the
yeah.
truth is you'll never grow if you don't let go. So to grow, you got to let go. And the more you let go and the more you put the right people in the right seats, that's the other
Mm,
thing is people
yeah.
put the wrong people in the wrong seats. Oh, you're my friend, I'm going to give you a job. Well, that's not that's not the
Yeah.
best thing to do.
That's usually the case with everyone that I have talked to, that I consult in our consulting business. They're like, oh, I have tried leverage before and it didn't work. And when I look into it, and it's usually that, like exactly what you're saying, like they found people around them and try to fit them into a box. And
Exactly.
you create the box and see who fits in the box, right? That's how you find that person, right?
That's exactly right. And have your exact SOP for
Yeah.
exactly what that job
Oh,
is.
yeah, you're talking my language. Yeah,
Yeah,
send it up. Yeah, they don't have it. It's all in their head, right? And it's not letting go of control that they're afraid of. They're afraid that they don't have this stuff down and the other person will not do it right, right? That's the fear, really. It's not they'll be glad if they could give up control on something and would work for them, right? It's just usually the fear that, oh, they don't know how to do it. They won't do it like me, right? And that comes from having SOPs that allows someone to copy you, right?
well, if you don't have SOPs yet because you haven't taken the time to write it down, what you can do is record a video. So
Mm,
many years ago, when I first started hiring VAs, I had VAs running my entire office. No one in the United States, everybody was a VA running my entire organization. And I would record a video of a task
mm,
for a specific task, and then I would label it, and I created a box file or Dropbox file by topic, by listing, by buyer, by MLS, and I did videos for every single one. And then when I hired somebody, I'd say, I'm putting you in this folder, go watch all those videos. This is exactly how to do the job. Call me when you're done, let me know you finished it. And then if I fired somebody, I delete them out of the box and put a new person in. So it worked really good.
This is exactly how we have built our academy, right? This is the exact process how I built the academy, where over 150 agents are training and coaching under us in our academy. This was the process how I
Yeah.
created the whole academy, and now it's much more organized, right? It's not in a Google Drive folder or something, right? But I recorded, I built that whole thing based on, outlining, right, what I want to teach. And
Yeah.
then based on the outline, based on the topics, based on the modules, there was a folder for it and there was videos inside of it. And now we host it inside of something like Kajabi, right? But it's
But
not
we have
Kajabi. It's
Kajabi.
our own platform. But how do you actually, before I ask you this question, what's your operation like now, right? Aside from your massive organization in EXP, right? Aside from your revenue share business, right? That wing, how are you set up for production right now, and how does that operation look like?
So I have a team operating out of Dallas, and I have a partner that runs the team on a day-to-day basis, and I have expansion teams through 12 cities through the U.S.
Wow.
So,
and how do you manage to oversee operations across 12 cities? Some of these team leaders and brokers can't even manage operation or oversee operations over one location, right? Maintaining high performance and growth at the same time.
I run everything from Dallas. So the hub is Dallas, all the structures out of Dallas. Every single person's on Slack, and I have a channel for every single thing you can imagine in Slack. So
I love it.
company runs on Slack. And so we operate super fast, very seamless. There's no miscommunication because whoever needs to be in that communication is in that Slack group. If you don't need to be there, you're not in that Slack group. And then we use Drive as a backup
Slack channels, right? Slack channels, you mean?
I have a lot of Slack channels for every city, and under every city I have Boston team leads, Boston team, Boston transaction management, Boston mortgage. For every single piece, for every single person in every single city is in the correct channels in order to be able to communicate. So we run a very tight ship.
This excites me, okay? Like, to see that there are other people doing it. Usually what happens is we have our whole academy on channels, right? Like in Slack. We are actually considering moving that into our membership area where all of our academy is. But we've been doing it on Slack, and a lot of times we get team leaders on them because they're our clients. So we need to communicate with them, right? And we tell them that, hey, this is how you organize your communication channels. And they, just another app for my agents, right? They don't get it, right? Like, so how do you get your team on board to leverage these tools to, run a ship that tight?
They don't have a choice. That's how we communicate. It is what it is. So the first thing we do is set up their email on the back end. And the first email you get is your Slack invite, and you're put into every channel. That's it, straight out of the gate. So we don't communicate any other way except in Slack. We upload all of our docs. We have a channel for social media. We have a channel for YouTube. We have a channel for our videographer. We have a channel for everything. Wow. And everything runs through Slack. And then if it's too big to hit Slack, it goes into Drive in specific folders that match the Slack. So
amazing. And end of the day, all you need is an executive assistant that oversees all of that and reports to you, right? Is that what you do?
And I just watch my phone. I mean, I just see what message and I answer it, and boom, I'm done. It's not like I'm having to chase emails. I'm not having to have a gazillion threads on WhatsApp or text, or I don't have any of that. It's super seamless.
Yeah. And could we talk about your involvement in prop tech digital? Like, seems like you digitally, that's your leverage, right? Seems like that's allowing you to grow that fast. Where do you see, prop tech or digital tools going from here, right? Like, looks like you're at a very high level leveraging technology. How do you see it impacting the real estate business?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I think it impacts in a lot of ways, good. And in some ways, if you don't catch up, you're going to get left behind. I mean, I invest in companies. So with the money I make, I invest either in companies or I invest in multifamily. So I'm a GP in a private equity fund, and we're building sustainable container developments around the country.
Wow.
Along with investing in multifamily through Cardone and 10X, and I'm a 10X coach and things like that.
Amazing.
So I do a lot of tech. I use every single piece of tech I can at the highest level I can for leverage on every single job for every single person that I work with. So
Sheila, you mind telling us how old are you?
I'm 58.
58. Okay, I'm having this on record, right? Because we have a lot of 45 pluses inside of our academy that come in as like, oh, I'm not techie. I gotta introduce them to you. Okay.
I mean, the truth is, if you're not techie, you better get techie. if you want to be relevant, I mean, between digital marketing, between social media, between
reaching people these days, you can't reach them other than digital ways, right? Digital platforms.
Truthfully, everything's changing. I mean, I'm an owner in 3 different fractionalized real estate companies. So we're fractionalizing single families and developments and Blackstone.
So tokenizing real estate.
Exactly. Well, a new exchange is opening next year on secondary markets for real estate from BlackRock. That's opening in Texas.
That's going to be huge. I mean, huge in a way where people who are not leveraging technology to build assets and build, digital assets or real estate assets, they're going to be left behind when BlackRock gets their hand on tokenizing and fractionalizing.
They're already doing it. We know, my partner and I actually know the guy who built it all on the back end. So they're already doing it. They bought 10 billion this last quarter of properties. So they're doing it whether people realize it or not.
Could you explain for our audience what is fractionalizing real estate? Could you explain that?
This is what Jeff Bezos stepped down from Amazon for. It's called Arrived. That's his company. So basically, fractionalized real estate on single family means if I, as an investor, buy a single family property, and then I'm leveraged in the sense of I can only buy so many single families and get loans, right? So I want more cash. So what you can do is take that property and put it on a fractionalized real estate site. One of mine is called Real Bricks, and they do single family properties. And what happens is you put it on there, and typically an investor has to be accredited to be able to get a loan.
You gotta be legit.
With the fractionalized, you can do unaccredited. So you can have people fractionalize a property for $100 or $1,000 investment. So you're buying.
So basically, you're creating shares into one house and you're selling those shares. So the profit will be also shared to the fractional shareholders, right?
Well, what happens is, as the owner, it leverages me. So think about this, because this is what BlackRock's doing. They bought all these properties. Let's say they have 10, $20 billion worth of properties across the country, right? They rent them all. So they're rented. So they're making money.
First of all, they didn't use their money to buy them, right? That's first step.
Now they rent them. And then they fractionalize them and they get all of these investors to give them more money.
So the $10 billion they didn't spend to buy the house comes to them, right?
Exactly. And then they take that fractionalized money and then go buy something else.
More and fractionalize them more and then get more money in, and then also into the process those properties will appreciate, right? And then you refinance and pull out more money from those mortgage notes, right? And you keep doing it, rinse repeat without having to have money coming out of your pocket.
That's
right?
Exactly
which would be and it's for a lot of people when they translate all of that I'm talking about, it will come down to institutionalization of real estate holdings, right? Which never ever happened in the American history, right? Where real estate holdings were done by mom and pop, regular average American person who wanted to live in it or buy it and rent it, right? First of all, we never had institutionalized investments, right? Meaning before fractionalization happened, like Chase Bank started buying houses, BlackRock started buying houses, who don't have the business of buying houses, right? They were always like leveraging money to make more money type of business, right? But then they started
in the last crash because I was running a brokerage I had the exclusive HUD contract from Dallas to Arkansas and 15 REO contracts. And what I saw happening was those companies started selling in the billions, bundles of properties to hedge funds, to Wall Street to unload them because of the crash. That's what happened. And then that once they were in, it was like, oh my gosh, gates open.
Makes you wonder, like, did the crash happen because of that? They wanted those properties?
I'm not going there. I don't know. I just know I was in it watching it happen because it was affecting our business as
yes, of course, right? And the greatest transfer of or loss of wealth that happened in American history was '08, right? From people either over leveraging themselves to buy properties that they had no business buying because everyone was doing it, or they were that was their only house, right? That was the only thing that they had, and everything that they had they put into to buy that house. Right now, what are the best practices of expanding real estate teams? Like, because you have expansion teams, because of your experience, I feel like you would be the person to tell us, right, how to get into new markets. Not even new markets, for less far. Like, if someone's thinking about building teams, right, or expanding their business by leveraging people, right, what would you say some of the things? I know there's a lot. There's like loaded question again, right? But if I were to bring it down to like, okay, give us like few things that they must have for them to be actually pull it off and be successful in either going into new markets or even in their existing market.
I think it comes down to, why are you building a team? I mean, you have to really figure out, why am I even doing this? Are you building a team just because other people have teams and you think, oh, that would be cool to have a team? Yeah. Or are you building a team because you're so maxed out on your time and you have so much business and you've hired multiple assistants to help you leverage that business, and you still have too much business that you're going to have to build a team? And I know people that were doing 40 million as a solo agent with multiple assistants. So it's not like if you're doing 5 million that you have to start a team. So you have to figure out why you want to start a team. Then you also have to figure out, am I going to run the team? Because if I'm going to run the team, I'm not going to necessarily be able to do the same amount of production, because when you bring someone on a team, they're entrusting you to train them and to help them and to support them. And so you're going to have to provide a different level of management, so to speak. And not every great agent should be a team leader. Yeah. There are a lot of great agents that really should not be running a team. They're not efficient or effective team leaders. But I did it where I partnered with someone, because I used to run a mega team by myself. And then because I split my time between Puerto Rico and Dallas, it wasn't feasible for me to be boots on the ground. And so I partnered with someone I trusted implicitly, that I've known for 25 years and have worked together for that long. And she used to own a RE/MAX and ran one of the top 1% of teams in the country. So I know she's capable. She's the boots on the ground.
Getting the right person in the chair.
Right person in the chair. Exactly.
Now, what is this moving to Puerto Rico thing? Is that a cult?
I've lived here 5 years, and it's something called, now they call it Act 60, and it's a tax benefit for people who help infuse money.
Okay, so rich people do this stuff. It's not a cult. How has technology played a role in scaling teams? Various teams that you have, is there a standard operating procedure for that for you, or is it like, okay, whatever team, whichever market works the best? Like, how does it work for you? What platforms, what tools are you leveraging to grow teams?
So I use Slack as the main communication channel. I use Follow Up Boss, Ylopo, and Maverick as a tiered system, and I manage. I can run everything through there. And then I use Open to Close for transactions, which is a high level transaction management system. So
nice. Yeah. All the best tools. All like literally these are the ranked number one on each of its category, right? There's
a reason they're number one. There's a reason they're number one,
because you're using them. I'm just kidding.
No, because you can scale. It gives you the capacity to scale and leverage and control every single piece of the process, no matter where your agents are. And believe me, I've tried a lot of them, and there is nothing that compares to what we have.
What do you think of high level?
I have high level too. I actually own a marketing company and a marketing agency, and we use high level on that company. Yeah.
Amazing. So do you service agents and teams and brokers?
Not officially publicly.
Okay.
I have, at some point we're going to release a product for sale, but right now it's just fueling the back end of my team.
I would love to show you what we got. Okay. And you would have to tie yourself on a chair so you don't fall off the chair, because I built something over 4 years, and I use Follow Up Boss for 9 years. I use Ylopo for 5 years. I use, Maverick. I use Fellow. I use everything. Sisu. I use, everything you can think of that you can connect together to get the reporting and be able to scale. Or if you're not, I wasn't in a scale mode like you are. I was more about efficiency, the conversion, and ROI, right? I wanted high ROI. I didn't want spending all that ton of resources and tools and technology and get nothing, right? So I wanted that, and that's what I accomplished doing that. But I would love to show you what we have built on high level. But anyway,
we've been building ours for years too. I mean, I had an idea over 7 years ago about building a broker in a box, and basically I wanted everything seamlessly integrated, that you wouldn't need anything outside.
I'll send you my video, watch it, and I actually sell it as franchising in a box. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But, I would love to show, at least if you're building something, I would love to show you hey,
this
is what's possible. This is what you're building yourself towards. Now, what are some key principles and practices you recommend when it comes to creating sustainable growth, right? A lot of people just want to grow big, fast, and that we see that it doesn't sustain, right? Especially this market have shown us, whoever just wanted to get rich quick, what happened to them, right? When the shift in the market happened, they lost production, they lost agents, they lost all the stuff they built, right? So what would be your key principles and, I guess, practices, or you can say core value of your operation? What helps you have a sustainable growth model in real estate?
Okay, that was a lot of questions, and we're all into one. But
what are the principles you operate by that helps you keep your growth sustainable?
Well, so the principles are different than the growth, in the sense of our core values as a team for my real estate team is that we help agents build their business, build their wealth, and build their legacy. So we're not just bringing agents on board to
sell houses.
No, we're literally taking them through a trajectory. And
so you don't tell them when they join you, you give them leads.
No. Well, we do give tons of leads, overwhelming amount, but that's not the point. The point is, let us help you build legacy and build something you can hand down to your family. And 3 cords stands for, there's a scripture in the Bible that says a strand of 3 cords is not easily broken. And so it's God, Misty, and me. And we know that if we keep him at the center and do the right thing and operate out of integrity with everything.
What are the 3 cords? Well, can you repeat that? God,
Misty, and me, my partner.
Misty? Oh,
she's my partner. Yeah, she's the one that runs things in Dallas.
Okay, yeah.
But really it's leverage again, because everything comes down to leverage, because a lot of people that I saw that went out of business, I mean, what just happened in Florida, Zillow pulled all their premier agents out of and flipped everything to Flex. So many agents went out of business overnight, because if you were just all invested in Zillow thinking I'm a premier agent, I'm going to be able to,
and that was just one market, by the way. They're about to do that throughout the nation, and they will eliminate 500,000 agents, just like that, Thanos, right? Doing the snap.
Well, they have to, because the law changed. So the law changed at the beginning of the year that you can only sell 1 lead to 1 person, and so that's not a sustainable model for someone like them. So they had to flip it.
They have been recycling the premier agent leads since 2018.
Yeah, exactly.
So now they have to exclusive leads, right?
So to me, it means leverage multiple streams or legs, if you want to call it, of marketing, and don't rely on one source. and make sure that you're building multiple sources. And then you're having I have groups of agents focused on specific types of marketing.
Of sources,
So
yeah. Yeah.
And so,
So look, in all reality, all of us have the access to the technology required, systems required, processes required to build our own Zillows, right? I mean, I can confidently say I have my own Zillow. I don't. Sure, some of my clients are still on Zillow looking at houses, but I attracted them through that same system Zillow has. I converted them to appointments with the same same system Zillow has when they make connections with agents, right? And we retarget and remarket to all of our database using the same system that Zillow has, right? The same processes, SEOs to rank higher, to PPC to show up when people are looking for, LSA to get calls. Zillow doesn't have that. I have that over Zillow, right? So all of this is accessible to team leaders, agents, brokers. Why do you think this gap happened in real estate industry where Zillow came in and became a broker? And I feel like if we don't flip the switch on Zillow too, Zillow will become a brokerage where they will say, if you don't transfer your license, which they already started, if you don't send us the Zillow your lender deals, you lose your flex partnership in some markets, right? So how did that happen, and how can we, I guess, get away from that?
I think agents that are dependent on them and have built their business on them are scared of letting it go and have not leveraged to build other systems. And sadly,
because
a lot of
they're out showing houses every time they get a new lead. They're out showing houses. How are they going to build systems?
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, when you look at the difference is that you have these tech people, right? And then you have old school brokers and salespeople who did not operate or really buy in or jump on the tech boom, so to speak, and learn. And so now they're struggling, dependent on these tech people, because they didn't learn to level up. And they're always going to be dependent unless, they want to keep knocking doors or things like that, which it still works, door knocking, open houses, it still works. I still have agents that love doing that stuff because they love meeting people.
Do you think door knocking would go away if people get plugged into their VRs and ARs and they're getting their food from there and they're working from there and all of that, and someone's knocking on their door? Do you think people would get up and take that off and go open the door for people?
The truth is, I see people doing more because, especially this younger generation, I was talking to my son, he's 24, about this the other day, that this other generation is not all into the tech and social media. Like they've gotten off of that stuff. They're like, we've lost connection. We've lost humanness.
How old is he?
24.
24. Okay.
And I mean, there's a lot of people that are saying, I want connection. I'm missing the human element. So I think some people are starved for it. So, I mean, I don't care how great the tech is. Nothing can replace human connection. Nothing.
The relationship. Nothing can replace that relationship. Whether you get that relationship through direct outreach or through digital platform, doesn't matter how that connection gets built. But if that relationship doesn't get built, sure, you might end up selling that one house.
Right.
That's all you would have, right? You won't have the future business, right? Exactly. Now, it seems like to me that guidance is very important here because there could be so much shiny objects out there, right? This lead platform, that lead platform, this system, that system, right? So how has mentorship played a role in your journey, right? To where you get to where you are, and what advice would you give to agents that are looking to build teams and organizations that are out there about, related to mentorship?
Well, mentorship is one piece, coaching is another. So you can have a mentor that just teaches you basics of things, like bringing a mentor. We make people get mentors when they're new in the business to make sure they don't get us sued, right? But really what helps you scale is coaching. I mean, all of the greatest people in the world have coaches, in every part of their life. I mean, coaches in health, coaches in business, coaches in spiritual, and you don't know what you don't know. And so you've got to be this constant never ending learner, always wanting to get better, always wanting to improve. And if you have that desire to just constantly get better,
Well,
it
yeah.
it will help.
Hmm. Now, can you share a time when you faced a significant setback in your journey? I know there probably is plenty, right, that you can think of, but like, I want to know, how do you deal with overcoming setbacks? So, use a situation that happened to you, and how did you overcome it to continue growing?
Oh, well, I mean, honestly, when I came to EXP, I knew business and I knew sales. I'd been a professional sales trainer in the pharmaceutical and media businesses and a
You
facilitator.
would
So,
expect like you shouldn't face setbacks. You already got it all figured out.
well, the business part, I was fine. Like selling real estate, I killed it. Like,
Uh-huh.
and built a team. It was great. But then when it came to actually being a recruiter, truthfully, I was scared to death. And I fell on my face like crazy. And what I did was I called Gene Frederick, who's my buddy, and I watched his video.
I'm still texting back and forth with Gene, trying to get him on the podcast.
He's
He,
amazing.
he's
He's
tough.
like my dad in EXP. I
Wow.
love him. He and Rob brought me to EXP, so I'm very close to them.
And it's funny, Gene. I'm very active in the workplace, and Gene sent me a client, and he doesn't even know me, based on like how activities he sees, based on stuff I share. He one of his people is in his downline. He sent screenshot of my post saying, "Hey, you should check this out. This guy keep making noise." And he the person mentioned, and I reached out to Gene like, "Hey, thanks for the client."
That's awesome.
Yeah. I
He
love givers. You see, like how Gene didn't even know me, and I didn't have a deal with him, right? Like he just saw like someone struggling, and he said, "Hey, maybe you should check that person out. Like, what is he talking about, right?" And that shows me like he's out there helping people, right?
he
Even he's being resourceful on behalf of someone else, right?
that is 100% Gene. I mean, through and through, he is exactly what you see is what you get, and he has one of the biggest hearts, one of the greatest people you'll ever meet. Honestly, um, I don't even remember what your question was. I got
Oh no.
distracted.
What was the setback, and how'd you
Oh,
overcome it? Yeah.
so basically, I watched his video over and over and over and over. I wrote the script out. I practiced the script again and again for days after days after, I mean, nonstop, and called him and walked through. Why did you say this? Why do you use this word? Why do you use this? I broke down
Wow.
every single piece of
You
the
took
script.
it like it was the Bible.
Yep. In the
Yeah.
sense that I wanted to know exactly what to do, exactly how to do it. And I fell on my face a lot, but
Mhm.
over the course of
Got
time,
rejected a lot. Said no
oh,
to a lot, right?
yeah, rejected a lot. This is the key that I figured out. Because a lot of people recruit, a lot of people cold call, all this other stuff to recruit. But what I figured out is it, just like what we said before, it is all about relationship. Like if somebody's just cold calling you to cold call you to get you to join them and be a number and be so that they can make more money, that that does not that doesn't work. But if you care about a person and you're willing to offer value to them and offer them an opportunity and you build a relationship with them and then they see the value, then that makes sense to people.
Yeah.
So it's about relationship and value.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people, because cold calling works, sometimes, we just because the dead clock is right twice a day, right? Not one time, twice a day, right? And we see that every time, every single day, that dead clock is actually right twice a day, and we're like, oh, that clock gives result. We don't have to change the battery. It's okay. It's working, right? And the result is actually, you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you're permanently getting disabled by doing the wrong thing, right? And there's problem behind not building a relationship, and especially in the agent attraction side of business. And I think we are facing that right now. Not just our brokerage, everyone else is who has the rev share model, right? Is because when you cold call before in the past 15 years ago when EXP was new, it was a new thing that people didn't hear about. So it was easier to sell through cold call. But also those people that brought people through cold calling probably lost a lot of people now because they didn't have the relationship. So when another platform came about, that when another shiny object came about, those people are going to leave, and that's why people leave, right? Because there was no relationship, there was no real effort to help.
Right.
So in my opinion, we are going into this new economy when it comes to rev share, stock incentive, in our lane. You're going into a new economy where it's not just going to be about relationships either, okay? Because people will the market will also catch on eventually that, hey, if I have a good relationship with someone, as long as I have that relationship, they're not going to leave me. And it will be a bunch of people just trying to build relationship. What will become is actually getting people result, meaning actually having vested interest in getting people to be successful.
Yep.
Right. So that's the other side of relationship. Why would you want to build a relationship? Is to help them, right?
Yep.
So you actually have genuine relationships. And when you have genuine relationships, meaning you are building that relationship to help a person, then the person will see results, whether it is a spiritual benefit or it is a monetary benefit, or if it is a cultural benefit, right? But that will show up with genuine relationships. And
Absolutely.
that's the new economy we are in. That's the economy that will build sustainable downlines, or whatever you want to call it, sustainable organizations. But anyway, I want to, it's been some time, and we're almost out of time. So I want to, like, what advice would you give to real estate agents and brokers looking to escape the hamster wheel, right? And build a business that allows them more freedom and leverage. I know it's like, oh my God, this is, and you could take your time on that one, right? That would be my last question to you.
Whew. Wow. There are a lot of answers to that too. So one of the things that I see a lot of people make a mistake with is they make a lot of money, but they blow a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they're not conservative.
Mm.
So everything from, it doesn't matter how much money I have, I watch every penny, literally every penny. And if I don't need an expense, I cut it. If I need to add an expense, I decide whether it's a have to expense or a want to expense. So I'm very, very careful with money.
Yeah.
And that's how I've been able to build what I've built. And a lot of people
you don't spend your the prior month's ref share money before you get it.
No.
I'm just kidding.
And I don't buy things like I don't buy Maseratis or whatever. Yeah. I invest in hard assets and real estate. I invest in companies that I'm going to 8x or 12x or whatever. And then you have to look at, how are your finances? Do you have an emergency fund? Do you have debt? Do you, there's so many things, and people have different views on debt and things like that. But I prefer to have no debt. I prefer to use my money as investments and then make sure I have enough money to cover 2 years of expenses for all of my companies. So I never have to worry about sustainability from that perspective if something happens in the market. And so we all have different perspectives, but you can't assume that you're always going to make the same amount of money tomorrow that you make today, and not in real estate. And even if you're building a big team, things can happen, and a crash can happen, or whatever can happen. And so, don't just blow the money you have, save the money you have, invest the money you have, invest in things that make you money and give you passive income, so that if hard times come, then you're not losing your shirt and losing everything you have because you didn't invest wisely.
What I hear you say is have a plan to spend your money before you make it. And I think we all could do better on that, right? Especially a lot of agents or team leaders even, right, where they're deficit and they are, negative, right? And a lot of times you look at like, okay, what was your plan? Like, what was your budget for your team? What was your budget for
Exactly.
your living? What was your budget for your savings? What was your budget for investing back into the business, right? Or investments, right? It's non-existent, right? So we deal with a lot with agents. That's a great advice, and I believe that if we could eliminate, being healthy or being wealthy, 90% of it is prevention, right? Being healthy,
Absolutely.
90% is preventing yourself from eating the bad stuff. Then you don't have to do pills and all that
Yep.
other stuff that comes with eating the bad stuff, right? Same thing with business is that you want to be wealthy, 90% is not spending money, okay? and or spending money on the right things, right? Even if it's debt, whether you think debt is good or not, if your debt is not a good debt, it's a
Exactly.
liability and not an asset, it's a bad debt. It doesn't matter, right?
They're the old saying, either pay now or pay later.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's very true. So
yeah,
it's like, you see Facebook posts, people say everything's hard. So it's hard to be poor. It's hard to be rich. It's,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
you got to pick your pain. It's like,
yeah,
I'd rather have the pain now of not overspending
yeah,
and saving and being disciplined so that
yeah.
I don't have to worry about the pain of going out of business because I didn't have money to sustain myself.
Hmm.
So I completely agree with you.
Where do you go from here? What is the destination? Where are you going? Where are you taking this boat?
I'm excited with this private equity group because we actually have a product that is, we are the exclusive distribution arm for a global energy source. So we're
Wow,
meeting with countries and all sorts of people for its lead acid batteries that last up to 80 years. It's insane. So
wow.
it's
So it's
super
not
fun.
even solar. It's like completely new thing.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
wow.
been used by the government. This company is a government contracted company that's been
Hmm.
using these with the DoD, DOJ for 20 years in the
Wow.
jungles and things like that. And it just came out publicly, and we're the sales arm for it.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we're really excited. So we're having all sorts of awesome meetings about energy and sustainability and things like that. So we're having a blast.
Wow. And if I'm sure there are people like, oh, how do I get a hold of this person? I need to talk to her, pick her brain. How do they get a hold of you?
Probably either Facebook or Instagram. Just DM me.
Hmm.
Probably Instagram is the easiest. Just send me
Yeah.
a DM on Instagram.
And then they can get in your Slack so they can get a hold of you even faster, right?
Not in my Slack. You're not in my Slack if you don't work unless you work for me.
Exactly, right? You see what I did there?
Yeah, no, I know how that goes.
Eventually, that's the next step. You get a hold of her on Instagram and Facebook, and then see how she can help you. And if she can help you, you get in her Slack. Okay, that's how you get in there. But anyway, Sheila, it's been amazing. Okay, and I think I could talk to you forever. I would love to, maybe on the background we'll talk. We'll set up a time where I'll show you what I got. But
Love it.
you have given us a lot of value, definitely with your time, and I appreciate that, and hope to collaborate with you in the future more. And I'm glad that you are in this ship with us. That where we are going with the ship at EXP, you are one of those people that are in it, that are growing, that are 1/3 of the company. It's like 30,000 agents, right? And that's amazing. And you leading us, I can see where we would go with the passion that you have. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. All right, guys. Until next time, as always, these episodes are sponsored by Boss Agents Academy, where we help agents, team leaders, brokers reach more people, close more deals, and change more lives. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks for joining in.